You here? We were talking that night. You kept me up to 6:30 in the morning.
I had to.
Well, I know from 2 until 6:30 we were talking deep stuff and going around. It was just one of the best times I'd had. As I strolled up 7th Avenue, I said, "That's one good fellow," and that's true. And in the audience, I'd like to introduce you to one very good fellow. His name is Richard Cory, and he's a social and political commentator, and he's also a musician, songwriter, and a singer, I would say extraordinaire. Having experienced some of it, he's going to grace us with some of that with the auto harp in a little while. But Richard, welcome so very much. A week ago today, your dad was on my program with Professor Irwin Cory, and you do come from very good stock, if I may suggest. I think you're the son of a comedian. You got a movement going.
My mother is very funny.
Yeah.
And she's married to my father.
Yes, that's very good. So talk to us a little bit. We got 58 minutes, okay? And I know you're also a social and political commentator. You have strong opinions about the state of the, justice and injustice in the world and that kind of thing, which is altogether too obviously there. But share your own background, born and raised, a little bit of that, just background, like we did with your dad, but you can share it for yourself. Okay?
Well, as most people, I was born in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh.
Now, I found out there are a lot of maternity hospitals built in Brooklyn after the war, and that's why there's such a large cohort, as they call it, who were born in Brooklyn.
Uh-huh, okay.
So my father was born before that, of course, but also in Brooklyn. But I was born in Brooklyn in 1946, they tell me. I was very young at the time, so I'm not actually sure of these facts, but that's what they tell me.
Yeah, it's good to go to the record on some of these matters, trying to recall. Yes, that's good. And then you were with your dad and everything. And what was the setting like? Do you remember? What's your earliest remembrance of the home setting and that sort of thing? And
well, I remember the shoes. They were like wicker sandals with a curly toe.
Really?
That my father wore in the musical Flahooli.
Oh, yeah, he was Abu Ben something or other.
Abu Ben Atom.
That's it, yeah, right. Yeah.
A musical by Yip Harburg.
Yes, God bless him.
And Ernie Harburg, in the book by him about his father, the man who put the rainbow in the Wizard of Oz, said that Yip's friends referred to Flahooli, the musical that my father was in, as the closest thing to a musical version of Das Kapital.
No kidding, really? I'm not that familiar. I'm going to make myself familiar with that. That was good.
Well, so my father played the genie, and I remember those shoes that he wore as his costume, and they were lost when we moved from Queens out to Long Island.
Yeah,
even though Queens is part of Long Island, people don't like to admit
moved to a different thing. You were out of Brooklyn by then and everything. You were out to Queens.
Brooklyn, I think I left at 18 months. So moved to Queens, and then further out on the island at around 5.5 years old.
Yeah, right.
And we lost the shoes.
You lost the shoes.
You could imagine what those shoes would get on eBay today?
eBay, I don't know if they might very well. That's the thought. If you particularly got them signed, then you could sell them at Sotheby's. If you got them signed, you could do it with Abu Ben. Anyway, so it must have been great growing up with your dad. I loved the man. I had just a brief encounter that afternoon we did to put that program together. He's magnificent. And he's 97.
95.
95, going to be 96?
He's completed 95 years, so he likes to say that he's working on his 96th, which will include his 97th birthday, counting the one when he was born.
I love the thing in the skit you put together about him where for his daughter, he was playing a role as a cab driver, and he gave her an extra birthday.
Oh, right.
That was funny.
Marlo Thomas and Irwin.
Don't blow it.
Right. In the movie of the play, The Thieves by Herb Gardner.
Okay, yeah.
And Herb Gardner wrote 1,000 Clowns.
Yeah.
And other great American plays and movies.
Yeah.
And that was a wonderful thing. In fact, after the 100th performance, Danny Thomas, the father of Marlo, came to Sardi's where they were having a party for the 100th performance, and he said to my father, "I always wanted to meet the father of my daughter."
Yeah, that's great. Well, your dad, it seems to me a lot of he could do stuff. He was an actor, but he could do a lot of those things ad lib. I mean, he would open his mouth and things would come out, and you have the same quality, if I may. You got good genetic heritage or something, because I went down to pick up a tape with you. I'll share. I went to your house, or went down 2 in the morning, think I'd come right back and get a good night's sleep, and you held me in trance in a conversation, one thing flowing out of your mind right after another until 6:30 in the morning. Do you realize we were up that long?
No, I didn't.
It was wonderful. Wonderful exchange.
I was doing my imitation of Harold Hudson Channing.
Anyway, and when you grew up with him, you were around the table. Was he funny? Was he always funny, or
no?
Was
funny.
He serious at home?
That's not funny. No, he was funny.
Yeah. He just got a great.
He was rehearsing stuff, and I don't remember Flahooley. I remember the shoes. I remember what he did was he sang a song from Yip's previous musical, Finian's Rainbow.
Yeah, but Yip Harburg.
Yip
He was also the one who wrote "Buddy, Can You Spare a Dime?" Was
right,
he not?
with
an iconic song from the Depression.
Right, he wrote that with Gorney. Jay Gorney.
Okay, yeah, right.
And that's a major song, which is coming back
into vogue,
into reality.
We're
into it again.
Depressions come and depressions come, huh? Yeah, this kind of thing. Anyway, a great, wonderful guy, just a wonderful guy, and I congratulate you on your heritage and everything, but we want to talk about you. Now, how about you? You went to school and that sort of thing. Let's talk a little, and I know you're very committed to justice and questions of justice. I think it's worth mentioning, but share your own background apart from, we've been talking about your dad. We talked to him last week. We're talking to you now. So
you
went to school and that kind of stuff. And
then after high school, I went to trade school, I call it. It was the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts.
Oh, trade school, yeah.
And I always wanted to reject them. If I ever became a famous artist, I would renounce my studies there. But I actually went to Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. My father's cousin.
Yeah.
Bernard Brusselschmidt, one of the foremost wood engravers in the United States.
Really?
He did the Hartford Elk.
Okay.
You know,
really?
The Hartford Elk? That's one of Bernie Brusselschmidt's wood engravings. He, for years, did the poster for the International Automobile Show.
Okay.
So various different forms. He suggested I go to Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts.
That's good. And that was coming out of, you were in high school. Were you going toward the arts when you were in high school?
Yes,
in that?
Even before that, in the, what's before high school? In the,
elementary or secondary school?
Yeah, it was a private school called the Queen's School.
Was it like a prep school or something?
No, it was just some progressive. It was actually called the Progressive School.
Okay, yeah.
It was in Queens, and it was also called the Queen's School. And I found some film. My father did black and white 16mm film of the groundbreaking ceremony for the Queen's School.
No kidding, you still got it?
And it was digitized, and we have that. And I'm standing on the shovel to break ground
for the thing,
for that school. And
where was that? It was out in Long Island.
In Queens.
You were in Queens then, yeah. What part of Queens? I don't mean to pry.
Well, we lived at 144-27 69th Road, if I recall.
I'm not sure where that fits in terms of the whole.
Oh,
I see. Okay.
I know the address.
I don't know.
I had to remember
I know the address.
In case I was lost. I had to remember.
What's that famous
144-27 69th Road.
The map is not the territory or something. Yeah. And then, but you were inclined toward the art.
I did paintings in watercolor. I remember doing artwork in that school. And in high school, I did artwork, clay sculpture, painting. I think at the age of around 16, 17, I started painting in oil.
Okay,
and I still paint and draw a little less frequently now than I would like to. And I got to get back to more of that. And now I do more singing and playing the auto harp.
Yeah, we're going to get to that for sure, because you had me entranced with that. You were
well, I think it's more convincing.
Yeah, music is really wonderful, isn't it?
Music is more convincing than any kind of intellectual argument, I feel. But
I wonder, you said that school was like called the Progressive School?
Yeah.
What does progressive mean?
Progress.
Yeah, right. But I mean, we used to have like politically, we have liberals and conservatives, and then the liberals are now calling themselves progressives, right?
Yeah.
So progressive is sort of more or less along the line. What is it connoting in terms of understanding progress, right?
Yeah, progressive means forward moving.
Things are getting better.
Well, try to move forward as opposed to moving backward, which we seem to be doing. My mother points out that things, as your previous guests, Lenny, things seem to be getting worse all the time.
Things seem to be getting worse all the time. Isn't that interesting?
It's unfortunate, but it seems to be true.
You think you feel the same way? Things are getting worse.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, on one side, I think we were talking on one side of the equation, you could look at it in some dialectic or something, but the weapon systems are much more advanced over what they were. We were protected when we only had the blunderbuss or just the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Not as much danger of being able to do real danger like we can now.
As you point out, the weapon systems are species lethal.
Well, that's a big question. I don't know if that is true or not. They haven't been. And as recently as the Second World War, you could even say, well, there was restraint. But as recently as the Second World War, when they were going full tilt boogie to kill each other as best they possibly could.
There was no restraint on Harry Truman.
Well, well, that's true, but no, if I may, that seems to be something's gone on there, because Second World War, up until it was the very end, they didn't even know if Big Boy was going to blow up when they dropped it. It was so just having been made. They only had 2 at the time. They only had 2 bombs at the time of Hiroshima.
2 different types.
No, 2 different actual bombs.
Yeah,
that's all they had.
Each one was a different type. One was the rail gun, get the critical mass by jamming one piece into another piece and creating a critical mass. That was what flattened Hiroshima. The Nagasaki bomb was the implosion bomb.
Okay, it was implosion? It was
it was where they had shaped charges arrayed around the outer sphere, crushing inward the inner sphere into the core. And that created the critical mass.
Okay.
And the concept was, if the implosion force was great enough, the critical mass exploding outward would be counteracted by the implosion force, keeping the critical mass together longer, making a more powerful force.
Was that leading toward fusion?
Well, that
fusion
was
well, because we didn't have. Teller came along, and we didn't have the hydrogen bomb.
No, that was
another
forward development, and that's why I love Michio Kaku so much.
Yeah, isn't he great? He's just wonderful.
Because Teller asked him to work on a hydrogen bomb, he said, "You."
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And
Michio Kaku's a wonderful guy.
He's wonderful.
And brilliant.
But I've seen him at various fora.
Yeah.
I saw him at Ramsey Clark's tribunals for war crimes.
I remember. One little sidebar on my part. Ramsey Clark, without doubt, should get the Nobel Peace Prize. He, more than anybody else, has defended unpopular causes that were just than anybody else I know. He should get that. Just a side note, but yeah.
Right, and I saw Michio Kaku at various of these meetings, and I asked him questions, and on several occasions, and last time I saw him, I said, "Now I've asked you the same question several times. I never got a good answer." He said, "Well, what was the question?" I said, "When are you going to run for Senate?" He refuses. So we get people like what we got now.
Yeah, okay. But back to that thing about the bombs and there, because I think it's a question, and whether or not they have become
species
but
lethal.
At the time of 50, we had firebombing. We firebombed Tokyo. We firebombed Dresden. They were doing, but we were impotent at the level of really massive. We did terrible destruction. I think your dad said something like 40 million were killed in the Soviet Union in the Second War. Yes. Horrible. They took the brunt of it all. Just awful. Yeah. 200. Anyway, but we had
that was part of the plan. Part of the plan, like Great Britain and the United States didn't really help. They just kept it going to kill as many. I mean,
I think Churchill had that in mind.
Truman actually spoke on the floor of the House of Representatives saying, what we should do is find out who's winning. If the Germans are winning, we should help the Russians. If the Russians are winning, we should help the Germans. The object is as many Russians and Germans kill each other as possible. Now, this seems to have been our policy ever since then.
Well, that's very hardcore realpolitik.
Iran, Iraq?
Yeah, that was Mr. Kissinger.
Sides
Kissinger said, let them kill each other. Yeah, he said that, right, and they did in large numbers.
One of my routines is imitation of Jack Kennedy.
Okay, you can do Jack Kennedy?
He was being interviewed by Walter Cronkite.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
He was on his rocking chair on the lawn at Hyannisport, and Walter Cronkite said, Mr. President, what about those who call for a withdrawal from Vietnam? And Kennedy said, well, I have never been accused of early withdrawal. But what I say is that in the final analysis, it is the Vietnamese war to win or lose. We can help here and there. We can kill 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, maybe 3, 4, 5 million, but in the final analysis, the Vietnamese have to learn to kill themselves.
That's very good, brother. That's very good. You're doing shtick.
That's what Barack Obama is doing. He can kill a few in Pakistan with the unmanned aerial vehicles and
Predator, the drones
3,600 children and women and children and civilians.
And you don't have to risk a single soldier. Or
well, no, it's kind of nerve-wracking on those guys working in Las Vegas with the computers and guiding them. They get headaches.
They got to go down to Fontainebleau, or not Fontainebleau,
right? They have to relax
Palace.
after that. But the point is,
now
in the Swat Valley, the Pakistanis have displaced 4 million people because, as Kennedy said, the Pakistanis have to learn to kill themselves because we can't kill them all by ourselves. So now the Pakistanis are killing Pakistanis for us. It's not really a good thing.
Anyway, the other question is on that, back again to that progressive idea and human progress and everything like that. So on the weapon side, and a lot of the research has been led by that, so one tribe can go and steal from the other and everything and make advantage and everything. But they do, I believe that there's things that it became the weapon systems, and there's things that we don't know too. I expect black ops and things like that. They're wave weapons and things like that. But the ability to kill and to destroy, neutron bomb came. Remember, we had that. We have germ warfare things now. That if there was an all-out, and we were restrained in the second. I mean, that was we were limited in the Second World War. There were only 2 bombs existing at the time of Hiroshima.
Well, there was another one underway.
But it isn't like you got thousands of them. Hair trigger alert on missiles. You have to go. You know, we were impotent as we had been throughout all of history at the level of species. But that seems to have been passed. And the best modeling I can get, it was around 1970, that the weapon systems are such that if they've been unleashed with alarming regularity and spasms of hatred and all that kind of thing.
There's no spasms of hatred. We're not doing these things because we want to get even. They didn't drop bombs on Hiroshima because we were attacked at Pearl Harbor. We were already at war with Japan because we were conducting economic warfare against Japan.
No, but the population is manipulated. The population is manipulated through propaganda.
It wasn't revenge. No. It was to show the Soviet Union what kind of weapons we had, to show them that we are going to control the post-war world.
Well, right, okay, power struggle, revenge, power
Norman Cousins said that. It wasn't, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't the closing shots of World War II. They were the opening salvos of World War III.
Well, we have World War III is yet to be fought. I mean,
Eisenhower, certain aspects, certain interpretations of what World War III is yet to be fought, but I think it's happening already. I think this is what it is.
Okay, but then it's restrained. Then the war has been restrained. We're not unleashing. We have not yet unleashed the
depleted uranium.
We came very close in '62.
Penetrate tanks and penetrate buildings, which Yeltsin used against the Parliament building in Moscow.
Yeah, we used in Iraq.
We use it against our own
soldiers. I think
it
was used in Bosnia, wasn't it? Was it used in Bosnia? Was it used in Yugoslavia?
Yeah,
you depleted the uranium. It makes it more effective.
It goes all around the world, and people don't realize that the depleted uranium is helpful for the economy because it causes such alarming increases in cancer that it helps the medical industry. So it's the military medical.
NGP, where does it GNP goes up, gross national product.
So that's what I was talking to your friends about at that meeting at your house.
Yeah, it's up on YouTube now for all the world. Yeah, it's up on YouTube.
Oh my goodness! Now
I understand they've clicked in at Langley.
Yes, they must have. We spoke a few key words.
A few key words. Yeah, right. Anyway, but the thing is, something new. I think something new is going on in the universe when you get to the point where The weapons are self-destructive. And I think on the other side, I'll say it, and everybody will say, ha, 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 it doesn't have any meaning, and that's it, I understand. We have, at the level of capability, not dealing with the reality, we have a whole bunch of debtors coming out of history, but at the level of capability, we got the capability to destroy the species long about 1970. At the same time, the technological extension was such that we were in a position, if we measured it in a certain way and took account of things in a world game way like Fuller and others did, that we were at that point, 1970, after 200,000 years of existence on this planet, we had transcended material scarcity, which was the basis of the fighting in the back.
No.
That's my premise.
It's not
and
true.
There's no point. It can't be.
It's not true. It's an excuse. It's an excuse.
That we've transcended.
No, that the material scarcity is the reason for wars.
Oh, you don't think it is?
Of course not.
Okay, go on. That's good.
I think
good.
It is an excuse to get the people accepting the scarcity which is imposed upon them by the war, so they can funnily see war is a method by which is the fastest way to transfer the wealth from the workers, the working class, to the wealthy class, the wealth class.
You think so?
Well, transfer wealth. They want to redistribute wealth, and the Republicans are saying the Democrats want to redistribute wealth. There's been redistributing of wealth for the entire history of mankind.
It all
from
goes
the poor
to the upper,
to the wealthy.
Well,
and war is a way to rapidly increase that transfer.
That's interesting. You think so, right?
Look at the rat hole of Iraq. Then Bush didn't make mistakes. Bush's job was to act like an idiot so people think that he was off guard, he wasn't prepared, he mishandled the war in Iraq, now we're stuck in a quagmire. These are all intentional.
Oh, boy.
Because you don't make a lot of money in a 6-day war, you make your money in a quagmire.
Yeah.
Now what happened when the solid rocket booster blew up because the O-ring was frozen?
Well,
what happened to Morton Thiokol?
Took a glass of cold water.
Yeah, but what did happen to Morton Thiokol for designing that solid rocket booster O-ring?
They got a big boost in
a
$1 billion
contract to redesign it. They wouldn't get that money if they designed it properly the first time around. So mistakes are what gets the money flowing in.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. There's something to be said for that. And measuring everything by gross domestic product probably gets in the way and so forth. But it's interesting that you say that. I hadn't taught that into account. I have to take that into account. So the thing is, so are you out? Let me ask you. We got to get talking. We want to get to the auto harp and music and everything. But are you optimistic for the human prospect? And
well,
one could say not only the human prospect, but the prospect for the whole of including humanity, the whole biosphere on this planet.
If it is to survive. Humanity, the biosphere, if it is to survive, we must change. You see, that's why I think you're wrong when you say 1970. Einstein was already dead. But Einstein said before he was dead, because you can't talk very much afterwards unless they read
not usually. We got recordings.
To Harry Seldon.
Yeah.
But
channeling,
channeling. So Einstein said, the weapons that we have designed are now capable. We are now capable of destroying humanity, and unless we change our way of thinking, the change in our weaponry has gotten to a point that it will destroy us unless we change our way of thinking.
I want that quote if you sent. I remember the quote where he said, "I know not how the next war, the Third World War will be fought, but the next war will be." After that will be with sticks and stones.
Right.
That's assuming there's going to be continuation of the species.
Now
that's the question. That's the question. You don't think that's possible?
Oh, what? Species lethality?
Yeah, and that it's within our lifetime.
I think
we couldn't do it in
not
1945.
Only is it possible,
we couldn't do it in 45. We were impotent.
To do that?
Yeah, we were gestating. We were impotent. We couldn't do it for 200,000 years. We were not able even to think about the possibility of destroying our whole species.
It depends on how big the species are sprawling. You know, if the species were only in about 2 little towns, then sticks and stones could be species
Could have
lethal.
been if the mitochondria, it could have all been from one single, it's all mitochondrial, female only, they can measure it. It could have been one individual Eve. That is going to reify a lot of the old legends by which Cro-Magnon sit around talking about what's it all about. You knew her, didn't you?
I knew her, yes.
Yeah. At that time, you're right. It could have been because she could have just stumbled on a rock and fallen over a crevasse, and that would have been the end.
So
that's very thoughtful of you. But I mean, once that got going,
we are species lethal. We have the capability of being species lethal.
But we have not had.
It doesn't matter whether
after Eve got safely past the serpent and got the thing got going. So let's just go 100,000 years ago. After 200,000 years, there's evolved. We get to that. So we got these people, and we got people roaming around the world, and we got Habilia, all this coming. So it's not been able to consider the possibility that they could. We're the only race or species that kills itself. I think maybe rats. I'm not sure. But that that there's something new at the point in this time. And
well, what about the praying mantis?
Praying mantis, right?
Doesn't the female bite the male's head off?
There are systems where they do, where the male is impregnating, and as he does that, she's eating his head, or eating him as he does it, which is sort of a very metaphoric thing we better not go into, right?
All right, the point
I did that to a friend of mine. He got all upset for a long time. It was something
marks on his neck.
Anyway,
so the point is that we may be species lethal. The point I would like to make is what I think Einstein was saying is if we are to survive, if the result happens to be that we do survive, it's because we've made a change in the way of thinking.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I like that. Because then you go, because the reason you make the point, and it could be something that could be studied. I was thinking about it. You could think about a lot of different things that would go, and they don't make it available. You do a Google search, you can't get a straight answer on that question. You get it, but some people say absolutely and everything on the destructive side. On the other side, there was a change of attitude. Why would there? What is there about the averse side of the destructive scenario that you could come to an agreement on? And they're building things now.
My friend
Korea's got that thing going now. Iran's going to get a thing.
Korea, listen, I just was watching the crawl at the bottom of the screen on the TV. It says that they're threatening, that they're aggressive and threatening to attack any ships that intercept their ships that come to Korea. So, what would we do if some ships were coming to us with trade and with whatever they were, supplies that we had purchased or whatever, and some ships intercepted our ships? We'd blow them out of the sea.
No question.
So now we're saying North Korea is making hostile, stuff because they're going to attack any ships that attack their trade.
Well, but that's okay for the strong guys to do, but you can't have the weak doing that. Because the weak have always been
attack. The Axis of Evil was out there by George Bush. He named the Axis of Evil.
Yeah.
Why do we attack Iraq and not North Korea? Because North Korea had 2 bombs, and we knew Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction. So we attacked Iraq because it would be the rat hole and quagmire we need to line Cheney's pockets through Halliburton, Kellogg, Brown, and Root.
Okay.
And did you know that what's the name of it? Blackwater is a Christian fundamentalist
I did kind of know that. I did kind of know that.
You know what else is Christian fundamentalist corporation?
No, it's a very dangerous thing,
Domino Pizza.
Is it really?
That's what I heard. I mean, I'm saying
this
as
rumor.
if I know.
We shouldn't base
but
on rumor.
I'm backtracking to say this is what I've heard.
It's that.
So
but you see, we're going down a track that is one that is all part of what we call the news, and then the rumor mongering and all that going on.
It is to create fear.
Yes, that's
fear is necessary. As Mel Brooks said, what was the means of transportation back 2,000 years ago? He says mostly fear. Fear transported you? Yes, you would see an animal would growl, you go 2 miles in a minute. But fear would be the main propulsion. Fear is the driving force to have the wealthy transfer wealth from the poor to the wealthy.
Well, you transfer wealth to the poor. Okay, but I can't get away from this. It's a large issue. They probably were on the Serengeti Plain. We were prey to the big cats mostly. We weren't very capable of fending them off, one would assume. They had a bunch of
well, we were smarter than the tigers. We could throw a Bible at them.
Well, you throw the Bible at them, right?
Let them try to read that, and he said, "Oh my goodness, I'm getting a little confused."
But there's been restraint on that, and that's the case. And then the other side, and you say we'd have to have a change of thinking. Okay,
we must.
Now wait
if
a
we're
minute.
To survive as a species, we must change our way of thinking.
No, not
because
only
what we're doing is we're leading to this species lethal crap you're talking
well,
about.
Well, no, wait. They will say that we're not leading to it because they're going to have the advantage of having the leadership and the understanding of how things should be done are held by those who have the power, and the people who don't have the power can't have the power because they might become a threat. So you can't even develop. It's just going to be all like a team where everybody's a basketball team where everybody's 7 feet, and the other team you can't have anybody that approaches 5 feet because you might become a threat to the. That kind of an argument is there, and it's not tenable. And also, you're going to improve the education. You're going to have to keep people ignorant, backward, and everything because they might possibly become a threat to the ones who can intimidate everybody else with their power.
That's
so that's not going to work.
That I had come to is that the United States, the wealthiest country in the world, how they got that way, let's talk about that some other time.
Some Indians had involvement there, I think, or the stealing of land from
some
of the indigenous people?
We got our wealth by stealing it from the other countries.
Yeah, okay, and the indigenous people of these continents.
Yes. Obama talks about nominating somebody for the Supreme Court who will uphold this wonderful Constitution and this great step forward in thinking that the Constitution represents. And I said, what about the genocide and the Indians and the enslavement of the blacks?
Yeah.
It's not just the Constitution that made this country great. It was genociding the Indians and stealing their land and getting the blacks to build up the things.
And it also might be outdated. It might be outdated. It's 200 some years old. It happened in a context that has been qualitatively transformed. You now have all kinds of technological things that are going on, and they're like an ancient regime with institutions, thought patterns, ideas of human nature, and political structures, social structures, culture, that kind of thing might be outdated. But then you say there has to be a change. What makes change possible?
Fear.
Oh, okay.
Fear
okay, well, that's
that
one.
without it, we're dead.
We're going to draw ourselves.
We're doomed.
But people don't go around thinking that we can destroy the species.
That's why we need leaders.
Because the species lethal quality, it would have to be something that would lead to the United States of America unleashing their weapons in some spasm of existential challenge to them or something, or else it would be limited only to those. I don't think it would happen unless you had the unleashing of the American, and they think that'll never happen because we're the good guys.
Well, look,
we're bringing peace and
good. So that's another thing I was thinking of on the way here. Good is very close in the structure of how the word is spelled to greed. Are we good or are we greed?
Well, yeah.
We say we're good. Bob Dylan says with God on our side, they don't lead to a very good conclusion.
Bobby Dylan also said the times they are changing.
And when already, I say. When.
When, that's what I'm saying. And then on the other side, you say it goes, what would, I say there's a transcendence of material scarcity at a level of reality. We can take care of everybody,
and the greed class are going to say, well, what are we going to do if we can transcend material scarcity? We got to think of something in order to keep our wealth and keep the masses poor.
Well, okay.
So because the wealthy are not going to feel wealthy unless it's compared to poor.
Yeah, but they've always been the wealthy, have run everything since Babylon. You had people who were there. The serfs were all done. You had some sycophant peoples. You had kings. You had emperors in Rome. The serfs are picking up leaves on the feudal estate of the ones who own. Now we got a banking leadership class. We're all walking around. They set the template for all our institutions, and we let them have the ownership of all the technology and the leadership and all of that, and the people don't count for anything. The people are like serfs in their mind, and so the thing is that's not going to be able to hold. And what is the difference is that you're going to have something that I think is more relevant than some change of mind, which hasn't been very successfully motivating things toward a just system and so forth.
You need a wake-up call.
You need something that is qualitatively changing things as existentially significant as we can destroy it off. I suggest we have, and it's coming every day, we have the ability to take care of everybody in a way that we simply have not had. We didn't have the capability to destroy everybody. We now have the ability to liberate everybody and the ecology, which was not characteristic of history. We shouldn't get too caught up in the nightmare of history, but take account of the fact that there's been a qualitative change on the liberating side, but it will call into question and subsume all of the institutions we've inherited out of a historical context that's been qualitatively changed. At the level of capability. That's
you're
something.
Talking about at the level of capability, we have the capability to become species lethal with our weapons. Now there was a movie. There was a movie about that.
What was that called?
The Day the Earth Stood
Still.
Yeah,
I remember that with the robot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fear. It's there. There's a big one out now. That's a fear. The machines are going to take over.
No, the robot was there to prevent humanity from destroying itself and the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
Says we have created a race of robots who don't have any emotional attachment.
Well,
they can't be used, and they prevent these renegade planets from destabilizing the universe.
Yeah.
And we have the power, he said, to just blow you out of existence.
Yeah, but that's not a robot coming from outside. This is material history emerging
this wasn't
without
a robot
the legend.
Coming from outside. This was some writer who wrote it in the world.
Yeah, right. Okay, but that's science fiction. But we're talking about the evolving of the geopolitical and the understanding of the world out of normal historically development. There is a qualitative change coming, like punctuated equilibrium and evolution, and that's the change we're going through. Well, no, something's going to happen. Yeah, it's coming in like
really rapidly.
It is. It's coming like what do they call it when you're pregnant? You have quickening in a pregnancy or in punctuated equilibrium. The change is coming. They just announced a battery technology that is going to be qualitatively more efficient. We need that for all kinds of things. They're going to make.
So you take this battery and you put it in your computer. Will it blow up?
No, don't go there. That's going into a detail. But that's the time.
Sony made a great battery and it starts burning.
Okay. No, don't go into details of it. That's just the patterns are emerging,
just a
and that may be the condition in which we live now, and that and we don't have vision of that because they're reifying all the old institutions, and that's okay. It's got to be done. But the people who are reifying or reestablishing all the financial system. You can't have the Federal Reserve overthrown. You can't have some overthrown thing like 1917 in Russia where you just can't, or you don't want to cut off people's heads, or you got to include everybody, and they're doing that, and it makes it hard because everybody's all strung out on dialectic of who's the enemy and who can we get and all that, who's causing the problem, without understanding, and the intellectuals are falling down on the job of providing an alternative understanding. And the people in leadership need vision. They don't have vision yet. They're getting there. They're moving close, but they're not there yet. So that's just the way I see things. I think it's the most incredible time to be alive.
Well, it's a Chinese curse.
Well, yeah, they said it's interesting times are the most dangerous.
Interesting times is a Chinese curse.
Curse, right.
So...
well, we're on and on about this. But listen, why don't we talk some? We're talking about, and I know that, and it's up on the net. Your very thoughtful thoughts at the ACAP meeting.
Uh-oh.
With the fellow that's a red-blooded American.
Yeah, but that German guy,
who wants to go, yeah,
who's the head of the
Henry George School. That's a progress. That was head Teddy Roosevelt. That was part of history, and that's something to be encompassed. There's something more than that needed, but that's a good thing. Nice guy. We'll make sure we get his number to you.
Yes,
and everything.
Definitely.
You want to be in touch. You're going to be in touch. And we're going to be in touch.
So how much time do we have?
We only got a little bit. Well, we got about 20 minutes. Yeah, about 20. So listen, let's get over into the arts. We're talking about politics and all that kind of stuff and everything. And I just think it's a large context that is. It's the intellectuals falling down on the job, not the politicians or the bankers. It's the intellectuals need vision beyond whatever we've had, and so forth. But anyway, you've gotten into the arts. We got you out of high school, and you were doing something with clay or something.
I didn't do my I should have brought my paintings.
Well, you could have. You can't get it all done, right? But you've also got. When did you get in music? And we're going to want you to lift up your auto harp and sing some songs for us.
Okay.
But talk a little bit about how you got into music and that sort of thing. In particular, you're very interested in Appalachian and music. And how did you get into that? And
my uncle was collecting records in the 40s, 78s, and my best friend Joel Bishop O'Brien, taught me almost everything I know about music.
Okay, yeah.
And he died a number of years ago, but he is worthy of mention every day and every place.
Okay, I understand.
And he was a jazz musician and a folk musician. He played the piano, any percussion instrument. Piano is actually a percussion instrument.
I guess that's true, yeah.
And he played drums. He was a drummer, a pianist, and he played saxophone. He played melodica. He played the harmonica. He played the banjo, and he played mandolin. He played guitar. He played almost every instrument. His father was Joe O'Brien, the disc jockey from WMCA Good Guys.
Okay, yeah.
And I like to say about Joel O'Brien that he knew everything in music from Charlie Poole to Charlie Parker.
Oh, wow, okay, right.
So that's a big range.
And you were able to be in his...
His brother, Robert O'Brien, who actually just died, wrote the alma mater for my high school.
Yeah.
And Joel was just an incredible musician. And he taught me a lot about country music, and he got me an album, Bill Clifton's tribute to the Carters when A.P. Carter had just died, 1960.
Right.
And at that time, they started reissuing the old 78s on LP.
Lomax stuff?
No.
Carters.
Yeah, A.P. Carter was his family, A.P., Sarah, and Maybelle. Maybelle, of course, had 3 daughters, June, Helen, and Anita, and June married Johnny Cash.
Right, you are.
And most people know of the Carter family through Johnny Cash's
in-laws. Yeah, because he became a hit star and everything. Right. But it brought back this old music, and the language, the English language spoken in the Appalachians, is the closest there is to Shakespeare.
Yeah, I don't have my guitar, but maybe I can play that. I put one of Shakespeare's sonnets to an Appalachian-type melody.
Okay, listen, why don't we, because we want to make sure we get in, you play this thing, this is an auto harp. Maybe you could pick it up, and maybe you could start giving us some music from
Okay, well, let me just tell you a little bit about this auto harp. It was built by George Orthay.
Okay.
George Orthay, the luthier from Newport, Pennsylvania. And he may be close to retirement, so if you need an auto harp, a diatonic or a chromatic, this is the best auto harp made. This particular one is made out of Joe Carter's mulberry tree.
Okay.
So
you're going to play something and you're going to sing something, or what do you? How do you want to do this? What would you like to sing? You sang that one about harmony. I loved, but
that
you
one
do
I
what
wrote.
you want. Yeah.
My son and I went down to Virginia.
Yeah.
And Bristol, Tennessee, which is where A.P. brought his wife Sarah and Sarah's cousin Maybelle, who's actually married to A.P.'s brother Ezra.
Okay.
So they all were Carters. And he brought them down to Bristol, which is the border town between Tennessee and Virginia.
Okay.
And State Street runs down through the middle of Bristol, and one side is Virginia, the other side is Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Ralph Peer from Southern Publishing and the Victor Talking Machine Company went down there because 1926, my uncle tells me, was the invention of the electric microphone.
Okay.
And that's what made it easier to actually go out and record these things, which were making big sales in 78 RPM records.
They really were they?
And he went down to Bristol asking people to come and audition, and A.P. and Sarah and Maybelle sang some songs there and became the first family of country music.
All right.
And one of the songs they recorded during...
We better start playing some songs. Okay. We only got about 10 minutes left. Now, you're going to be singing a song, or you got a number. We have about 15 minutes.
All right, this is a song that A.P. wrote or copywrote or arranged or whatever. He was a great collector of music. And this one is pertinent to today's situation.
Okay, good.
For fear... Is that the key I play in? For fear the hearts of men are failing, for these are latter days we know. The Great Depression now is spreading. God's word declared it would be so. I'm going where there's no depression, the lovely land that's free from care. I'll leave this world of toil and trouble. My home's in heaven and I'm going there. In that dark hour of midnight nearing, tribulation time will come. The storm will hurl in midnight fear and sweep lost millions to their doom. In that bright day, there'll be no hunger, no orphan children crying for bread, no weeping widows and no struggle, no shrouds, no coffins and no dead. I'm going where there's no depression, to the lovely land that's free from care. I'll leave this world of toil and trouble. My home's in heaven, I'm going there.
All right, all right. When's that date too? When's that date too?
27 or a little bit later. They started recording in 27.
This coming out of near Tennessee, North Carolina?
Well, they were in Virginia, Poor Valley, Virginia, at the foothills of the Clinch Mountain in what is now called Hilton's, Virginia.
Okay.
But it was Mesa Spring at that time. And my son and I went down there. AP asked his daughter if she would carry on the legacy of the Carter family, so she created the Carter Fold, where music is played every weekend, and every year in the first weekend in August, they have a celebration of the first recording sessions.
I see.
So my son
mark
and
the
I,
anniversary.
my son and I went down there. My son was 10 years old when we first went down. He's now 12. So we went down there, and they let us sing the first night.
Great honor.
Oh, very great honor.
Yeah.
I went up to Dale Jett, who was the grandson of AP and Sarah, and I said, "Can we sing a song?" And he said, "I don't go to people's gigs and ask that I sing a song." I said, "Well, I wouldn't either, but I love the Carter family so much, and I thought it might be interesting for your audience to hear someone from New York City and his son singing and do a real good justice to the Carter family." He said, "One song."
One song, do it.
So we did one song. And after that, he said, "Would you and your son want to sing another song?" I was so thrilled. That was just so wonderful.
Was that one harmony, the one you did?
No, that's what I wrote about my trip. The song we sang there was the Carter family's theme song and a song AP wrote when he broke up with his wife, Sarah.
Okay, we got about 8 minutes. Can we get a couple of songs in? Maybe we could do a melody, a medley. Yeah.
All right, so I'll sing the Carter family's theme song.
We got 10 minutes.
And then I'll quick do the song that I wrote.
Just do it. Spread it all out. Make it all music now.
Let me see.
You can talk in
the dark and the troubled side of life. There's a bright and a sunny side too. Though we meet in the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life. The storm and its fury break today, crushing hopes that we cherish so dear. Clouds and storm will in time pass away. The sun again will shine bright and clear. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life. Let us greet with a song of hope each day. Cloudy or fair, let us trust in our Savior always, who will keep us everyone in his care. sunny side, always on sunny side. Keep on sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life.
All right, all right. More,
more,
please,
The song
sir.
that I wrote about my son and I going down there.
That's the harmony?
Was the harmony song.
Okay, do the harmony. You wrote this song, yeah. Okay.
Me and my dear son Ami, we sang at the Carter Fold. We had an enjoyable time there, if the truth could ever be told. We sang both of our hearts out. We sang for the love and the joy. We sang for the love of the Carters, both me and my little boy. We sang harmony, together we sang of the love. We sang harmony to the moon and stars above. We sang harmony, and no one can doubt that it's true. We sang harmony for Dale and Rita and you. We got to Bristol, it was about 2 o'clock. We sang a song of the Carters, where the old hat factory was not. We sang in front of the mural about my Clinch Mountain home, and rode the A.P. Carter Highway to the Carter family fold. We sang harmony, together we sang of the love. We sang harmony to the moon and stars above. We sang harmony, and no one can doubt that is true. We sang harmony for Dale and Rita and you. When I am singing, I've a feeling of ecstasy, and that feeling is double when my son sings with me. There is no feeling finer than anything I have tried, for it is a feeling of loving that comes from deep inside. We sang harmony, together we sang of the love. We sang harmony to the moon and stars above. We sang harmony, and no one can doubt that is true. We sang harmony for Dale and Rita and you.
Bravo, bravo. Listen, pal, we got time for something more. We got time. We got about 3 or 4 minutes left.
Okay.
What else can we think of? A different
song I
genre,
wrote?
or yeah? Why don't you do something you wrote? You can play a song, as they say. Just play it. It's just gorgeous, man.
I will change keys.
We got about 5 minutes, 4 minutes.
I love you. There's nothing more I can do. You're the light of my life and my heart, and my dreams come true. And you're the one. There's nothing more can be done. You're the moon, you're the stars at night. You're the morning sun. When I'm alone, I call you up on the phone, but it rings and it rings and it rings and it rings, 'cause you're not home. But I will try again and again and again, 'cause deep in my heart I know you're my friend. life and my heart and my dreams come true. And you're the one. There's nothing more can be done. You're the moon, you're the stars at night. You're the morning sun.
All right! Songwriter, musician, and singer extraordinaire. That's your own song, right?
Yes.
How many have you written? How many have you written?
Oh, 20 or 30.
20 or 30. Do they come all at once, or do they come in the bathtub, or how do you come to a song?
They
do you
come
get
to
the
me.
lyrics first? You do the lyrics first, or you get the melody, or how does it come?
Differently.
Differently?
Different
Different
times.
strokes for different
Songs.
states of mind,
Yeah.
or different songs, huh?
And here's,
Okay.
and anything else?
Yeah. The thing is that we had about 2 minutes left. So why don't you, as they say, this is, of course, Richard Cory, a social critic, a social commentator, and political commentator extraordinaire, human being extraordinaire, and certainly a songwriter, a singer, and musician extraordinaire. And it's been great talking with you, and you've got such good genes, and all my very, 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 one more time, very best to your dad. Professor Irwin Cory, the world's foremost authority.
That's right, that's true.
Now, play us out. We got about 1 minute. Why don't you just play something, and that's it. We can run the credits. Thanks for being with coming back.
I'll be I'll change the key.
Okay,
I'll
change
be
it.
waiting till you come back again. I'll be waiting till the end of time. I'll be waiting till you call out my name and hold me once more in your arms. I'm thinking about the pleasure we've seen, and I know I will never forget. And I'm wondering, in this wide, wicked world, it would have been better if we'd never have met. I am going away, and I still hear you say, will you stay one more day in my arms? I'll be waiting for you till you come back again and hold me once more in your arms. I'm waiting till you come back again. I'll be waiting with tears in my eyes. I'll be waiting till you call out my name and hold me once more in your arms. I'm going away, and I still hear you say, will you stay one more day in my arms? I'll be waiting for you till you come back again and hold me once more in your arms. And hold me once more in your arms. Just hold me once more in your arms.
All right. Bravo, brother. Bravo, bravo. So good. Best of the family, best of the grandson. Look forward to meeting your son.
And my wife.
And your wife, she's a Wayne.